So
Okay.
welcome and welcome again for the comrades who came here from our Polish-speaking channel Odrodzenie Komunizmu. Now we are speaking in English with comrade Professor Bruno Drweski, and we will talk about the very important event in France, the protests which are now are from January, 19 January, but it's I think it started in the against Macron in the time of the Yellow Vest movement. So, firstly, maybe let's talk. Could you make some short history of the last episode of this
Ye-
protest in France, which started from January?
Yes, but I would begin a little bit with the yellow vest because it's very important. What was characteristic for yellow vest, it was that for the first time, it was not Paris and big cities which were the center of the movement, but little cities and countryside. And it was different if we compare with protests organized earlier by trade unions, which were mostly city based and big city based. And what is important with the current movement is that this movement is, of course, strong in big cities, but little cities are relatively much more mobilized because when you have about, let's say, 300,000 or 400,000 people taking street in Paris, it's of course very big. But when you have in a little town of Brittany, which has about 4,000 people, and you have more than 2,000 people in this taking the street in this little city, it's really really important. And this is the result of the Yellow Vest movement. It gave people from little towns and countryside the idea that they can also protest, and especially that their situation is much worse than in big cities, because in little cities the level of unemployment is higher, the prices are higher, the possibility of transportation are of course much worse. So objectively, people in little towns are much poorer than in the centers, but up till now they were passive, because what can you do in little cities? Now they are very active, and that's very important um, because the current movement is of course visible in big cities like Paris, Marseille, and so on, but it's all over the territory that we have this movement. Um, and uh, and that's very important because it means that the whole society is protesting officially, and of course they are protesting about for the problem of retirement and the age of retirement. But if you talk with people in the street, for them it's the whole system that has to be changed. People are now conscious that uh, uh, they are not fighting for only one things. They are fighting for all the neoliberal policies that were carried on for the last 40 years, and that it's the whole system that has to be changed. And that's very important, and that's why people are taking the streets so long, because on one side they are despaired because their economical situation is very bad, and as I told, in little cities, people are literally sometimes hungry. You have people that take only one meal per day. You have even pupils going to school without breakfast. So that's the real situation we have. And last week I saw on TV a right wing mayor, moderate right wing, it means the party Les Républicains. And it was very important because he's a member of parliament, and he voted against the government. even if his party in its majority voted for the government. And the journalist asked him, "What is going on with your party? There is no direction. No direction. You do what you want. Everything is destroyed in your party. Is disintegrated." And he answered, when you are a mayor of a little city in the countryside, and you see people, you have to organize them food, people working, and you have to organize them food help, because they are not able to pay for food. You cannot support this government and this system anymore. And the journalist asked him, "But so what? You are going with the communist." And he answered, you know, I'm a Gaullist, and it's not the first time communists and Gaullists are taking the same side. It was the same thing during the Second World War, during the occupation. Gaullists and communists were on the same side, or on the same side against the collaborationist government. And when you hear that from a member of parliament, mayor of right-wing movement, then you understand why you have more than 70% of the population of France, who is against the government. And a lot of these people are coming from the right, from the conservative camp, but they cannot anymore support the system. It's unbearable for them. The situation is unbearable, of course, for people of left wing, but it's unbearable a lot for a lot of conservative people. And that's the point, and that's very important, because now you have more than 70% in people in France which are against the government and against the law. They are pushing for retirement, and you have 94% of people who are working, who are against this law. 94%. It's almost the entire working people, from lower classes, but also from middle classes, who are now in favor of manifestation strikes and so on. So the situation is very hard. And uh, um, and as you see, this situation began in the middle of January. Now we are in April, and still the people are taking street and are striking here and there, because they have no money, so they cannot strike every day, but they strike here, and another day it's another, other people will strike, and all over you have a turnover of strike. So it's something like a guerrilla strike, but it's all over France. Um, and uh, and what is important also is that now French people know that they were observed all over Europe and even in the United States, because we received a lot of messages from the whole world, but especially from Western countries, supporting French protest. And what is important now is that we had also huge mass movement in Britain, but now this week we have a strike beginning in Germany. So we can hope that the movement is going in, is growing, not only in France, but the movement is growing in other countries. And um, and then the elite, the, let's say, supranational elite, will have then to react, because for the moment French government knows that he has the approval of Brussels. But what will do Brussels when other countries will take street?
Um, okay, so maybe could you make some for the viewers from other countries some short presentation agenda? What was when that this reform firstly was started? They tried to push this reform in December 2019, and there was
Yes.
already. So could you say something about this protest in 2019 and 2020?
Yes, you had protests against this reform, and the government has to stop this reform. But what is most important is that this reform is not at all rational, because the situation of the economy of the retirement in France is not bad at all. So they push this reform, and people do understand that they push this reform as a first reform, tending to destroy the social state. People are very conscious that behind this reform there are the plans are to carry on other reforms, and that's why people protested already in 2019, but it was like at that time not so massive. But the government has to stop, especially after you had the COVID, and during this situation, the situation was stopped. And after the COVID, the government decided to come back to this reform, and this made people much more angry, because they thought that the government resigned from this, and we see that the government is functioning with a, I would say, fanatical passion to force this. And this made people angry. This made people angry in January, and that's why we had a lot of people striking and taking the street at that moment. But people are much more angry when they force this reform through a not really legal way of adopting this reform at the parliament. And then you had people which were not politicized that also took the street as a protest. So the government was thinking perhaps that people will be tired at the very end, but for the moment it's the exact contrary which is working. But still, we see that the government is hoping that uh, the manifestation will at the very end finish will be finished. And but as I told you, the hope is that the movement will grow outside France, in Belgium, in Germany, in Italy, and so the European authorities will have to cope with that situation.
Yes, because I think that very important in this question of this reform is the personality of Emmanuel Macron, who
Yes, of course.
he think that he is that he is Superman, and every time when he do something, he win. Already when he was a when he was a minister economy in the socialist government, he pushed some
Yeah, that's right.
neoliberal reform, and he won. And for example, he have a, but the fight with the trade unions in the railways, and he won. After he
Yeah,
was alone in the election, without party, without, and he won election against the big parties, big socialist party, big. Of course, he was supported by the oligarchic media,
yeah, that's it. And the medias, and the medias.
yes, yes, yes. But he said that if I want became president, I became president. If I want push
Yeah,
this reform, I push this reform. And even with this Yellow West movement, he
yeah,
won. And but when in March 2020 he decided
yeah.
to retire this reform, it was somebody in his head. No, I can't lose. I can't lose. I have
Yeah,
come
and
back to the
he had to take back.
take back, and now there is some problem in the government which is not united. There is some problem, maybe not. There is a problem with the Madame Chiappa, which make interview to Playboy magazine, and she was
Yeah,
criticized. The Macron, he criticized when he pushed this reform by this decree 49.3. It was disrespectful for the government. It was disrespectful for the parliament, for the member of his party in parliament. He showed
Yeah.
him, you are nothing. It's me who decide here. Um, so could
Yeah,
you say?
you're right, but still the oligarchy is behind him, and I think they will support him as long as he doesn't resign from his I told fanatical passion to win and to win on these issues. Uh, on the other side, there is something we have to take care about is that uh, some protesters are so anti-Macron that
Hello. We see that there is a Macron censorship. They cut Bruno internet, but I hope that he will come back. So let's face the reality. The system win. It is a defensive thinking. I am the revolutionary, the socialist, the communist have to be optimistic. Um, the system is scared of the real left and the real right joining forces. Mm, uh, I think that the question is that this division left right, they try to make this division in the question of the consciousness. But for me, the division is from the economic perspective, and the there is one thing which united the nationalist movement and the leftist movement, that this is the movement which based on the collectivism and the mass movement, that we the communists we believe that we need to unite the working class. The nationalists they believe that they need to unite the people from one nation, and the workers in one country very often there are in one nation. So there are some things which some slogans the nationalists and communists which are similar, and especially today in the time of the war in Ukraine we see that the only people who have a little intelligent position to the expansion of NATO in the West, in this NATO aggression against Russia, and also the occupation Poland by the American forces. The only people which I can talk and collaborate, this is so-called nationalists, because they are also against it. In the last week in Bolesławiec, it is a small town in the lower Silesia, there was a scandal that the American soldiers wanted to rape the Polish woman, and the Polish police do nothing. The guy who called the police um, is Bolesławiec. I was there because I was there one time. I was there in a hotel because it is on my route to France. I take this highway from Poland to Warsaw to Görlitz, and after Görlitz, Frankfurt, Saarbrücken, Paris. So I know Bolesławiec because it is not far from the Polish border. It's Gorzelec, etc. So it is very small city. Normally, police have to come in 3 minutes or 5 minutes, but it was 30 minutes, and they make. And where is Bruno? Where is Bruno? Maybe he has some problem with internet connection. Oh, he.
What happened?
I don't know what
I
happened.
don't know. It suddenly cut, and I had to reopen my computer and everything.
Okay, so do you remember what
I
did
don't
you?
really remember when I was exactly. I because I didn't realize when it was stopped actually. So give
So
me,
so
yeah.
okay, so maybe let's jump to the topic which already today we talked, the police brutality.
Ah, yeah,
Because it is something exceptional from the. It is not exceptional
yeah,
in the history of the working the class struggle history, because we know from the history and also from French history and Polish history, Russian history, that in the past the police or the soldiers, they are very brutal against the working class and other protesters. But in the last time, I don't know, in the last 40 years, the police was
rather civilized.
rather civilized, and there everybody agree that in European Union we have to law to protest in the street against
Yeah,
government, that it is essence of the democracy, that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we can protest in the street if we are not agree with the politic of the government. And now it's changing in France.
Yeah, I mean, it has begun to change. Let's say about 10 years ago, with the even at the end of the Hollande government. But this was, let's say, exceptional, and it became the rule, the general rule during the Yellow Vest movement, where the repression and the violence of police was regular, I would say. And then after that, the government changed even the préfet, it's called in France. I mean, the chief of the Paris area in charge of police. And it looked like we had an improvement. And at the beginning of the manifestation in January and February, things were quite okay. I mean, people began to go take the street without fearing anything for themselves or their children. So they came even sometime in family to manifest. And this changed after the government forced the law, because the government thought that since the law has been forced, there is no reason to take the street again. And then we had the back the old technique we had during the Yellow Vest of police violence against people in the street, against people taking the street, but sometimes even people that were on the street that are not at all taking the street, but they are on the street because they are going in the street where the manifestation happened to be. And a lot of them has been uh, violated or even arrested for 1 day, for 2 days, and then they are freed without any charge. It means that there is nothing against them, but they have been, in jail for 1 or 2 days. And, it's a pressure. The aim of this pressure is that people will fear to go to take the street, and especially will fear to take the street with their family. So it will diminish the number of people taking the street, and that's the obvious strategy of the government, to terrorize people up to almost death, because you have people now in how it's in English, in coma, in people unconscious at the hospital, which who we don't know if they will live or live or not. They are the hospital don't know if they will be back to health or if they will die. So the repression was very tough. And it means that the government doesn't hesitate anymore to take those very authoritarian means it already took during the Yellow Vest movement. So we have a real regression of democratical rights. French people were fighting for last centuries during the last centuries. So it's the real end of the democratical era we had in France after the 60s, when situation on repression began to improve systematically up to the middle of the last decade.
And I think that now they push the new law in the pretext of the Olympic Games,
Yeah,
which
of
will be
course.
next year. That there will be the video surveillance and
Yes,
more.
of course.
Some I don't know the details, but I heard that there are when they finish with this pension reform,
Yeah.
they already prepared the packet of reform to push the French state, French police to this direction, more totalitarian
Yeah,
and
of course. But
using.
I really don't know how this Olympics will be because people are against this Olympics. So it will make people still more against the government, and I don't know if the Olympics will be so quiet as they want. Even if, of course, the repression are will be there, but repression. London in England is the city in the world where the number of camera is the highest in the world, and England last weeks and last months was the center of a very strong class struggle. So you cannot stop it by camera and repression. It doesn't work. It works sometimes, but at the very end, it doesn't work when people are really angry at the power.
So could you say something about the subject which we didn't talk in our Polish conversation? Some people asked me, do the demonstrators in France, do they talk something about the involvement of France to the war against Russia?
Mm, Officially, I would say no. It means most of the organization that organized these strikes, I mean trade unions or other unions and association, do not want to talk about this because it can divide, let's say, the opinion, because the opinion is divided on these issues. But with my group, we had a big. Um, I forget my English.
Banner?
Banner. Yeah, we had a big banner with this more or less slogan: "More money for army is less money for hospital and pensions." So no to NATO, no to EU, no to war. And with this banner, we had a lot of success. I mean, people were going through looking at this banner and telling, "Oh, at least somebody is talking about this because we need to talk about this." So don't say that all the people taking the street are conscious that this war is a pretext to militarize society, to repress society, and to let's say, introduce in France Ukrainian state methods of repression, but quite a lot of people are conscious of that. And I think that the organizers of the manifestation are too moderate on this issue, comparing with the average level of consciousness of people. Now in France, we have only 20% of people, which, according to polls, which support the selling of arms to Ukraine. 80% are without opinion or against it. So opinion is changing. People do not believe anymore that Ukraine is a democratic country. You have to protect against Russian aggression, because if Ukraine falls, then the Russian army will go up to the Atlantic Ocean. This discourse doesn't work really anymore. People did understand that the causes of the war are much more complicated than the media were telling. So I think that the peace movement can work quite strongly now, but still the trade union leadership are uncertain of this on this issue, because some of them are linked with the system, and the system is going toward militarization from the right, but from the left also, or from some
Yeah,
aspect of the left.
but when you use the phrase selling weapons, Ukraine pay for this weapon from France, because for the
Yeah,
weapons
yeah,
which came from Poland, it's for free.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah. And even when you say sell, it doesn't mean that Ukraine pay for that. It means that French state officially sell to Ukraine, but it means that state money is going to the private military industrial complex of France. So it is a privatization of the public money. And these arms are going to Ukraine, but the money is not coming from Ukraine. And even I read today, this morning, that the Ukraine Minister of Finance told that Ukraine has an amount of gold, has much more gold now than it had 10 years ago. So Ukraine has gold. So why this gold is not coming for buying arms?
yes.
Poland is taking for free. Poland is taking from free, when the Kiev bank is plenty of gold. Poles have to think about that. Why the Ukrainian gold doesn't come to Poland?
I think that when we think about this 1 year, how many weapons
Yeah,
they send to Ukraine, and normally, if you have so many weapons, logically, already the Ukrainian army have to be in Moscow now, but
yeah, but
they are selling this weapon in the black market, they have a lot of gold. It's my
that's exactly that, and that's why the Ukrainian army is retreating and not pushing forward, and that's why this war, it's a war. It's a pretext to make money. The only winner of this war is the private military industrial complex of Western countries. And that's the big difference with Russia, because whatever we think about Russia, there is no private military industrial complex in Russia. The military industrial complex in Russia is state owned. So it is not the money Russia spends on armaments is not going to private pockets, but the money Western countries are giving to the industrial complex is going to the private pockets of owners of these private firms, and this explains the real reason of war. Because this war is a war that makes a lot of money for private people in the West and for oligarchs in Ukraine, of course, which are linked with all that system of arms selling and corruption and so on.
Okay, so we can make a second subject and talk a little bit about the protest of the farmers in Poland,
Yes.
because I think that it will be interesting for the viewers from other countries. Could you say why the Polish farmers now they are blocking the Ukrainian-Polish border?
Yeah, mostly Polish border, but you have the same thing on Romanian border and Slovakian border. And the real reason is that if you remember a couple of months ago, we had a lot of tears about the situation that the Russian aggression made Ukraine impossible to send wheat to poor, starving Africans, and it was due to the Russian aggression. And at that time, at the very end, they found compromise theoretically that the Ukrainian wheat will be sent to Africa. But we observed then later that maybe two or three ships of wheat went to Africa, but the rest of the wheat went to European Union, especially in Poland, Slovakia, Romania, I mean in the states bordering Ukraine. And now the situation is that we have too many in Poland, too much wheat, and the Polish peasants cannot sell their own production on the Polish market. So, because there is a lot of too much Ukrainian wheat, and there is no place for Polish one. And of course, that's the reason why the Polish peasants are angry, because all this import of Ukrainian wheat was supposed to be for helping Africans, but in fact, it was for making prices go down in Europe. And so the Polish peasant cannot sell anymore their wheat, and that's the reason why they are angry, and that's the reason why they are protesting. And that's, of course, the consequences not of the war in itself, but the consequence of the manipulation that this war made possible. So little by little, we see in France, we see in Poland, we see in Romania, we see in Germany, we see all over the world, the Western world. We see that people discover some aspect of the consequences of this war, which is in fact against them, because this war is mostly against European nations, much more than a war between Russia and Ukraine. And of course, it is a war the United States pushed to, because it's in the interest of the United States to have this war against Russia, but also against European interests, which are competitive with the American one.
But this protest of the Polish farmers shown very well the disconnection the Polish politicians
Yeah,
and the from the Polish nation,
yeah,
because in all discussions in Polish parliament, mostly all the Polish deputies, maybe in exception of I don't know one or two MPs, all they supported all these politics supporting Ukraine. They make even licitation who gave
who is the
Ukraine more things, who open, and because these protests are starting because of wheat, but
yeah
in the Polish market are other products from
Ukraine.
Ukraine. We have we have eggs, we have vegetables, we have fruits, we have the industry products, and also we have a lot of in the last year a lot of Polish small business was closed because of the rising prices of energy, and also because of the big taxes which this
Yeah,
small business have to pay. And in the same time, the Ukrainian migrants open small businesses without taxes. You see
yeah,
how it is an unjustice system. The people from Ukraine, they had already the public transport free, houses free, the medical services free, and now they can open the small businesses without taxes. And the Polish, I am not a very big fan like a communist of the small businesses, because I'm against the bourgeoisie and small bourgeoisie also. But it's shown how that this politics. Fanatic politics of supporting fanatic Russophobic politic of supporting Ukraine, because it is not for Ukraine, it is against Russia. And
yeah.
the Polish politicians, they don't care about Ukraine and Ukrainian people. They only use them like the tool against Russia, against Putin, and in the schizophrenia. And but it's destroy this
Agriculture.
Polish agriculture, Polish small business. In the future, also already there was a problem in the big cities about the rising prices of the flats, and
Mhm.
all these things are, but from farmers we see. But because in the other groups there were some yes or no, but in the
Yeah,
farmers everybody are against the politic of government, and they don't care. In the last days, Morawiecki starting to understand that if we have, in theory, we have the election in after
mhm.
holidays in September or October, there will be parliamentary election, and the farmers always voted for the
Yeah.
ruling party, and now the ruling party, which were supported by the Polish farmers, is the government which pushed the agenda against Polish farmers. And also we need to, it's a wheat from Ukraine, but it is not Ukrainian wheat. It is the wheat possessed by the big
Yeah, Monsanto and
multinational,
so on.
yes, American, the Dutch, and other corporation, that the Ukrainian peasants are, they possess not a little land in Ukraine.
Yeah, yeah. And and we have also to add something that when Zelensky this week came to Warsaw with the Polish president, they declared that there will be a Polish-Ukrainian union, so it will solve the problem of Ukraine demanding to join EU. Because if Ukraine and Poland join, automatically Ukraine will be in the EU. So I mean, we have a situation where when we have leadership which is completely disconnected from the reality. But because what can be a Polish Ukrainian united state in the current situation of war, of disintegration of Ukrainian society, in a situation where Polish society is beginning to disintegrate. Um, it's complete foolishness. But those politicians are talking about that like if it was a brilliant future.
Yes, but he didn't tell about union. He used the phrase, "There will be no border between Poland and Ukraine. There will be no border in historical
Yeah, of
but
course.
from the legislative point of view,
Yeah.
if there will be no border between Poland and Ukraine, Poland will be no a member of European Union
Yeah,
because
of
European
course.
Union have to have
Borders.
border to have the European market. So
So yeah, they have to decide. Um, maybe no, I don't know what Warsaw will tell Brussels about those discussions and how they see it. But anyways, it means that we have a situation of politicians. We told earlier about Macron, which is completely disconnected from the French reality. Then we see that we have Kaczynski and Duda completely disconnected from the Polish reality. We know Zelensky is completely disconnected from the Ukrainian reality. So we have to ask if it's not the crisis of the whole capitalism, because it seems that every politician in every so-called developed capitalist country is disconnected from its own reality.
the geography is injustice because when you have the Ukraine after one year of war, and I think that after the very famous Ukrainian offensive, which will start soon, and
Yeah,
it will be very big catastrophe because all this area of the Dnieper River is very well protected. So it will be the goal of this war was demilitarization of Ukraine, and after this, the people, a lot of soldiers of Ukraine will die in this river. So it will be the demilitarization of Ukraine,
yeah,
the Russian will advance in they take Odessa, they take Kharkov even, and after it will be finished. And the result will be that the eastern part, where is the industry, where is the resources, where is Black Sea, all things, where is
important.
the important agriculture also, all these important things will be for Russia. And for Poland or European Union, they take the Western Ukraine, where is nothing, where is poverty, with the fascist chauvinistic movement, and all this war, religious war, all this problem that nobody wants this Western Ukrainian because it
It
is
is poor and without any future. Yeah.
uh, so
Yes, we are going toward a very dangerous world, but it looks that our elite don't really understand where they are pushing us, but at the very end, also themselves.
Okay, Bruno. So I know that we already talked about this today, but let's talk one more five
Ah,
minutes about Pablo Gonzalez because
yeah, this is something very important. And for English-speaking viewers, you will give the link for the redacted program on this issue, where they can have everything. It is a Spanish Russian journalist, a Russian because he's Spanish, but he is born in Russia, in Soviet Union actually, because his parents fled Franco Spain, but in fact he's a Spanish, but he has two passports, the Russian passport and the Spanish passport, and he's a journalist for Spanish media, and he was arrested 13 months ago in Poland, and still he's in jail without any accusation. His wife could see him only 2 hours for the whole last year, and under the prison of policewoman. His children cannot see him, couldn't see him for at least 13 months. He can talk by phone to them. He has no contact with his children. He has only 2 hours contact with his wife. And it's completely lawless, and he's in jail in Poland, and that's the program in the US based redacted website. And I think that you should be aware of what's happening in Poland, actually, concerning human rights, but concerning also media rights, because it's a violation of media rights, because he was arrested when he was making reporting about the situation at the Polish-Ukrainian borders with the coming of refugees in Poland, and he was arrested at this moment under the completely foolish accusation of being a Spanish, Russian spy. Just that he's in jail for 13 months, and nothing has been shown, any accusation against him. He's only on strict jail. He cannot communicate with anybody else than his lawyer, and even with his wife, he cannot do it. So it's a very a strong uh, repression we have to be conscious about, because Poland is supposedly a democratic country belonging to the paradise of human right, which is called European Union, and in which we can observe this situation. I think that what you can do is, first of all, to communicate this information all over your friends and relations, and your websites, your Facebook, your messengers, and that's the first thing you can do. And especially communicate the link for the redacted program, because the whole program is about 20 minutes, and it gives all the information. And in interview with the wife of this man, of this journalist. And the other thing is, of course, that we hope that the advocate of this journalist will go to the UN office for abusive um, intern jail. I hope his advocate is his lawyer is a good one. But for the moment, without any result, because of course the Polish government does what he wants, but apparently the Spanish government doesn't react also, because the consulate of Spain in Warsaw visited him at the jail, but did nothing to protect him, and to demand Polish authority to respect basic laws. So what you can do, at least, is make the information known all over the world. So the Polish and the Spanish government will be forced to react.
Yes, it's very important this material which you see now, that it was published yesterday, and already it is 142,000 views. It's very powerful media, and I say this like some call of explanation, because he is in the Polish prison already 1 year and 1 month, and I try to inform you about the situation in Poland, but it is
Yeah,
first time when I publish something about this, because nobody in Poland speak about this. It's most of the information which I try to spread to the English speaking public, it's came from the Polish anti-system media. I watch this media, and after I repeat what I heard to you in
yeah,
English.
yeah.
But
Michał, could you copy the link of this YouTube video and put it so people will be able to look
Yes,
at it.
yes.
It would be very good, I think, because we have to show this video all over the world.
I will make this. Uh, I will make this video in the chat and in the description.
Yeah.
So already it's here, and also I will very. It's So now it is in description. If somebody came, spread this information,
Yeah.
and also I would like to make some contact with this Pablo Gonzalez Society in Spain. If you have, if you know them, because I don't speak Spanish, and his wife, as I see, didn't. Maybe she speak Russian. I don't know because.
Apparently, she says Spanish, but anyway,
Yes, but maybe they speak Russian because this Pablo Gonzalez he is sure that he speak Russian if
yeah,
he
yeah,
lives.
yeah. Of course, he's born in Russia and then came back with his family to Spain when he was child, because you had this so-called democratization in Spain. So he went back to the country of his family with his
Yes,
parents. But and that's why he's Spanish, of course. But but since he knows Russian, he was working for Spanish medias, especially in Eastern Europe, in Poland, in Ukraine, in Donbass, in Russia, because he's of course knowing very well these countries due to his language, and that's why we need to make this information known.
yes, I
Um,
think that also in Paris we can try
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah, yeah. It would be
contact some Spanish leftists and organize the demonstration opposite to the Polish ambassador. We already know this ambassador very well.
yeah, yeah, of course,
And organize now the demonstration not against repression of communists, but with
of
the Spanish
journalists.
cameras. Yes, also we can invite some journalists, the Association of Free Journalists, the
Yeah.
Journalists Without Borders, something like this. Reporters.
Yeah, yeah. Officially, they must support it. But we observe that the Spanish media he was working for have different reactions. One of them did nothing, and other ones are supporting him. So we see that in Spain also the people and the journalists and are under pressure, and and we can understand that Spain is not much more democratic than Poland by now.
Yes, but it's
Yeah, the question, it is the UN department is in Geneva, the UN department for unjust jailing or abusive imprisonment. That's the name I translated from the French, because I had to deal with them for another Polish political prisoner, Mateusz Piskorski, which was also arrested without any accusation, and he was freed after 2.5 years of prison without any reason. So now we have this same situation, but with a non-Polish citizen.
I think that we have to start a big campaign, and also
Yeah.
you, Bruno, you have contacts. You can invite his wife to Paris and organize some conference.
Yeah, yeah,
And
we have to do something, that's for sure, because it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable as a citizen, and it's unacceptable as a journalist. So it's two times more unacceptable, because The repression against him is, of course, a repression against him, but it's also a repression about anybody who dare to work on problems which are not interpreted again along the official line. And that's very important, and that's we have to be aware. It is the beginning of repression, and if this repression goes on, then they will be able to repress everybody.
It's written that redacted is the right-wing
Yeah,
propaganda.
maybe, but if you look at this video, there is nothing especially right wing. It's obvious. It's just information. Maybe it's a pity that maybe the situation of this journalist is known on other medias. But anyway, I found this, and you will see that. Right, the problem in the United States, in the West, is that unfortunately, but on the Ukrainian war, sometimes right wing journalists or right wing websites are more open minded than so called leftists. So called, because
Yes,
that's the point, that we have to accept that. Uh,
but it is not only the question of journalists. If we compare the politic
yeah,
of Orban with the
yeah,
politic of the
unfortunately,
Sanna Marin, for example, Sanna Marin is a leftist, the leader of the Social Democratic Party of the Finland. Fortunately, no longer prime minister of Finland, but she pushed Finland to NATO. And few
yeah,
days ago, she participated in the pogrzeb, how to say,
burial.
the burial of the fascist from
Yeah,
Ukraine.
openly fascist.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
fascist who said that he will give the for his dog the dead children from Donbas. He will eat. It's a barbaric fascist, and Sanna Marin go to, and he's the hero of the modern Ukraine, the Geroi.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Bruno, I think
So,
that we make our job
yeah,
to big conversation. It's so for comrades from other countries. Uh, uh, Firstly, be solidar with the protest in France, with the police brutality, which we are the victim. If you can, in your
yeah,
country,
countries.
opposite to the French embassy, make demonstration that you are against this. Oh, okay, this part, but I will finish. That you are against this repression, brutal repression, defending the oligarchic Macron state. Second, support the Polish farmers in their fight against the poverty, because now they don't know what to do. If you look for their they are very desperate. um, I will show you some photo I already showed, but as you see, um,
I don't know what happened, but I disappeared anyway. Still, there is something. Maybe it's the political police which is
yes,
pointing
so
at
so
us.
so so, so I tell I'll spread the message to the people to be solidar with the protest in France, farmer protest in Poland, and with Pablo Gonzalez.
Yeah, that's it. That's great. Okay, so it's good.
Thank you very much, and see you. We were. I think that
There is
after.
somebody, Proton, to ask something out of topic. I don't know.
Of course, of course. Protanto is the comrade, our comrade from USA. She
Uh-huh.
it's a Polish emigrant.
Uh-huh.
She emigrated
He
to
or she.
yeah,
She. Okay.
she emigrated to USA. I recorded some
Yes, I see. I see.
conversation
I
with
see.
it.
Okay.
She emigrated to USA like a communist, and in USA she became communist.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a,
The United States is a very good country to become communists if you have
and
open-minded and open eyes. Yes, she wants apparently to ask something.
yeah.
So
So
let
we
her ask.
we are waiting. We're waiting for the question. But when we are, it's not good to waiting.
Ah,
Could you please do a
about
could
Kazakhstan
you
and
please do video about Kazakhstan and Putin? There was some color revolution 1 month before the war in Ukraine started, but
but I I don't know. The man who can talk about Kazakhstan is Mateusz Piskorski, because I don't see. I'm not really aware of what's happening in Kazakhstan. I don't know Michał, but I guess we didn't really observe the situation there. So we
you
have
know,
to look for people.
in my Polish channel, I make all the time the conversation in Russian. Few days ago, I spoke with Sergei Udaltsov,
Uh-huh.
very famous. He was in prison 4 years and half.
Hmm.
So he's the leader of the left front, and I have possibility to have more conversation in Russian,
Yeah,
but
to happen.
I only one or three conversation in month. If not, if I will make more, the Polish audience will no longer watch my videos. But I plan to. There are some organization in Kazakhstan. It's named the Krasnaya Yurta.
Uh-huh.
Krasnaya it's red, and Yurta it's
Traditional Kazakh tent.
yes. There is some leftist organization from Kazakhstan, but they are Russian speaking guy. I think that
Hmm.
all these guys are Russian,
Hmm.
or
Yeah, the national minority, the Russian national minority.
yes, and in the future I will invite them and talk
Yeah,
about the
that will be
Kazakhstan.
great.
Uh, so many comrades claim that Putin is imperialist because he attacked Kazakhstan. I don't think that is right. That is why I wanted to hear details.
Yeah, so we
No,
have to. Yeah,
he didn't attack Kazakhstan.
no,
He defended
yeah,
Kazakhstan against color revolution.
yeah, but we have anyway to find people who knows the situation to be able to talk about it more rationally than we, because we have the impression, but we it's better if you can contact this Krasnaya Yurta, it would be great then.
If we talk about this subject, I would like to I would like to make talk few words about very good lecture which I saw recently. I will try to find it. It's a lecture of Jyoti Brar from
Ah,
the
yes, she's great. CPGBML.
yes. And I hope that I will invite. I already invited her here, and even when the Comrade Max was my guest, he spoke with her, and I also spoke with her few seconds. But
I know her also. She's
uh,
a very, she's
last
very
time,
great.
last time when I wanted to invited her, she was in Caracas.
Yeah, yeah.
After she go to United States, so she's very busy. But I hope that
At the very end, you will talk to
yes,
her
yes, yes. But
because she's coming from in Paris from time to time, even
yes,
because
I
she has
want.
contacts with, because she belongs to the same organization. My organization is belonging is the World Anti-Imperialist Platform. So
Yes,
when
yes, yes,
so
yes, yes.
she is coming to Paris for this purpose. So even we can have a talk with her. Physically, not only on the, of course, through internet, but in the same area, in the same place.
But I invite you to watch her lecture because she make analysis of the Greek Communist Party and
Yeah,
explain why the Greek Communist Party are they have this position of two imperialism. It's very good analysis here.
yeah, yeah.
It's a lot of details, so I will not repeat it. But
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
have it is in the site Center of the Political Innovation, and you will find it.
yeah.
Okay, so thank you,
Okay,
Bruno, very much. Thank you, the viewers. There are less than in our Polish channel, but
it's normal.
it's normal. The quality of the viewers are better because in the Polish. In the Polish, there are a lot of now the so-called Ukrobots. Uh,
Yeah, it's the name.
yes, yes. I have some comments of the guys in my movies, which this fake count.
Ah,
You go there and this is account created a few days ago, and
yeah, 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 yeah.
a lot of comment that supporting the Azov and stuff like this and attacking me personally.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you so much. Best wishes to Professor Bruno and to me
Okay.
how to. So goodbye.